Breaking right now, Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain. Now, this story may have been somewhat overshadowed this week by the duplicitous duo's disgusting disaster tourism, but it really must be talked about. But Radar Online says that Buckingham Palace is being pressured to remove Prince Archie and Princess Elizabeth from the UK's royal line of succession until the Duchess provides absolute proof that she popped out both babies herself, Radar Online can reveal. Wow, Lady Colin Campbell, look, I know this is only Radar Online at this point, and Radar Online have been very brave when it comes to reporting the truth about Prince Harry and Meghan in the mainstream media sphere. But this, to me, still feels significant. It still feels like a real push forward because, of course, for some time, you were the only person talking about the surrogacy scandal at all.
Dan, are you trying to put me in the line of fire or are you praising me? I'm not sure whether this is...
You're off to the tower, Lady C. You're off to the tower. Well, look, Radar Online, in fairness, they do quote you and say Royal author Lady Colin Campbell recently challenged the conspiracy of silence and misinformation surrounding both tots.
Well, yes. I mean, Dan, you and I have spoken about this privately, so you know my sentiments on the matter. And also, I have been in touch over the years as a result of the public coming to me about this. Behind the scenes, and I need to be very careful how I put this and what I say, because I don't want to breach any protocols, let's put it that way. But I mean, this has been simmering behind the scenes for some time. And my own sentiment is very simple. The royal family owes it to the public of each and every country of which the king is monarch, to clear up any doubts about anybody in the line of succession. Meghan's conduct is what has triggered all of this. Oh, Archie doing a deep dive between the knees, Archie competing with Tom Daley before he was even given birth to. Archie's unique qualities. And we need to remember that Archie was truly unique because his first word was crocodile. And Archie, of course, was the product of a union that maritally started when they were roasting chicken. And I leave it at that. But what I will go back to say, in terms without giving too much levity to their Harry and Meghan's really crazed behavior. And I do not, oh, yes, isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? That bump had more air in it than the flatuses that Meghan and Harry go around divesting themselves of in their 16 bathrooms. The royal family has a duty to, actually the monarch has a duty. It's not the royal family, it's the monarch has a duty to ensure that there is no doubt as to the entitlement of each person who is closely in the line of succession and would therefore stand a possibility, no matter how remote, of acceding to the throne. It doesn't matter if you're the 57th in line to the throne, but it certainly does if you're the 5th, 6th, or 7th in line to the throne. And this is all very simply cleared up, as I have made the point privately, officially behind the scenes. Simply provide irrefutable proof from the obstetricians, the way every other royal birth proof has been provided to the public, that those children were born of Meghan's body and they were conceived of her body as well.
I want to just go back to, I mean, beautifully put, by the way, incredibly put. Could listen to you all day, but I just want to go back to the Radar Online report in regards to this, because they bring up a point which, again, we have discussed before, but I think this is now very important now that it's coming into the mainstream media. And it's about the fact that in Spare, Prince Harry crowed, "Within 2 hours of our son being born, we were back at Frogmore." And now I'm going to quote the courtier, and this is why this story is so significant, because it's a courtier speaking directly to Radar Online, who tells the publication that raised many eyebrows and questions. How many women give birth and are home in 2 hours? That didn't make sense unless Meghan didn't deliver the child herself. Now, I know obviously we've spoken in lots of detail, and remember, I reported it at the time and posed a whole load of questions about the mystery surrounding the birth. But the fact is, Lady C, this is elevated because this is a courtier raising those questions now in the American mainstream media.
Well, it suggests one of two things. Either Radar Online has made it up, which I'm not accusing them of doing, or the palace realizes that the time has come for the rumors to be put to bed one way or the other. And it is, this whole thing is an extremely serious matter. But what to me makes it truly offensive is the way Meghan has gone about flaunting this from the word go. Because if it was not a surrogate birth, the baby bump behaved in such an unconventional manner that she was orchestrating drama, which there was no need to do. And you then have to ask the question, why was she doing this?
Just the two children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet.
Well, who else would be excluded? No
Well,
one else.
obviously, there are also questions about whether Harry should remain on the line of succession.
Well, Harry is legitimate. I know that to be a fact. Harry is definitely King Charles's son. And Harry there.
But what about if he's propagated this sort of lie? That doesn't matter when it comes to the line of succession.
At that point, if he has been collusive, he should be removed from the line of succession. And if he doesn't do it voluntarily, it should be done by Parliament. Because it would have to be done by Parliament. It would have to be,
wouldn't it? It would have to be, and King Charles would have to make that request. Now, look, in this Radar Online bombshell, Lady C, a royal insider also brings you into the equation. They're quoted as saying, "Meghan must be furious. I can imagine her reaction, venting her anger and frustration over Lady C, threatening to sue and blaming Harry for not doing enough to protect their privacy. This scandal will stretch their marriage to the limit. It's already hanging by a thread." However, the courtier confided, Lady C is determined to get the truth. Meghan's nightmare isn't going away until she comes clean. So can I just clarify, Lady C, have you had any threats at all of legal action from the Sussexes at this point?
Not a word, but it is my belief that the phony GoFundMe, the phony GoFundMe account that was used, GoFundMe set it up. So somebody in GoFundMe was reached by someone, because these things don't happen out of nowhere, and set up a fake account in my name using my details, begging for donations to be handed to my bank account in Meghan's father's name. After I had closed down my account. And then Martin Robinson, who is the chief online reporter for the Mail, immediately found out about this. As soon as it happened, he found out about it. Before I knew about it, he found out about it and got in touch with my agent, David Samuel of ASM Talent, and wanted to speak to me about it. And that was the first time I knew that this account had been set up. I'm not stupid. I do not for 1 second believe that somebody at GoFundMe inadvertently set up that account. It's not possible to inadvertently set up a fake account. And I think that that was an attempt by Harry and Meghan, or Meghan on her own, or somebody that closely affiliated with them, if it wasn't them themselves, that in my opinion, this was a way to discredit me, because I had been receiving questions about the account, and that there were plans afoot to discredit me. And I thought, this is ludicrous. Who can discredit me? I have no skeletons in my closet. Nobody can discredit me. And I actually said it on television. When I was asked about it, I said, well, they can invent whatever they want. The fact of the matter is, nobody can discredit me because I have no secrets. I have no skeletons. So then within 2 or so weeks, they come up with this phony account. And I am being asked if I have siphoned off money into my pocket from the Thomas Markle appeal. I mean, the whole thing was so cack-handed, but it was typical of the Sussex squad and, quite frankly, the Sussexes' behavior, because they come up with cack-handed schemes. So I'm not saying that they personally did it, but my belief is that one or both of them, and I think it would have been her, would have been strongly motivated to try to silence me. But it hasn't worked. And the reason why it didn't work was that Martin Robinson was very correct. And he tried to corroborate the story. And so I was tipped off, Dan, in much the same way that Harry and Meghan were tipped off when you had to corroborate your son's story about Brexit. And that, just as how that tipped them off, and they then went hurtling down another avenue, I immediately was alerted to what was going on. So I have no doubt that if they could sue me, they would sue me. When they can't sue me, and if they try to sue me, I would see it through and see them in a court of law. I would love to get Meghan Markle and Harry in a witness box. I would love it. And remember, I'm very experienced. Meghan thinks that because she played a paralegal who couldn't pass her law exams, that she's a legal expert. I have 50 years of litigation against all 5 major newspaper companies in this country, as well as a litigant in person, the largest award ever awarded to a litigant in person against an insurance company, to my credit. I would love to see them in a court of law. So if they want to sue me, go right ahead, because I invite it. So I think
Bring it on.
Dealing with drug-addled people. That's my take on it.
But indeed, bring it on. Give me the popcorn. Come on, Harry and Meghan, bring it on. Let's take this to court. I couldn't agree more. Lady C, just before you go, I do want to ask you about this Instagram post that Meghan Markle made in tribute to her dog Guy. Now, of course, we're both animal lovers. Lady C. So we know that it is an absolute tragedy when you lose an animal like this. The issue with Meghan, though, is that her other animals she just discarded when she moved to the UK and then moved from Canada to Los Angeles. So that was very odd to me, number one. But lots of question marks about the timeline in terms of Guy. When did he die? Was she being honest about his injuries in her post? What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, Dan, I don't know if you've ever read Professor Marion Stout's book, The Sociopath Next Door.
No, I
She was
haven't.
a Harvard, well, I think she was a Harvard professor, very good book. And she makes the point that one thing sociopaths will do is they'll have pets and they'll enact loving the pet. And as soon as it is inconvenient, they discard the pet. So, I mean, Meghan discarded one of her dogs, evidently on the basis of the fact that he was too old to travel, except he wasn't too old to travel. I mean, I've traveled with dogs that were far older than that. So that right there is a red flag. The dog broke both front legs. Well, I've had dogs for nearly 40 years as an adult, and as a child we had pets. I've never heard of a dog breaking both front legs, but let's leave that to one side. The fact of the matter is the cynical use of that dog, because she features that dog in her Netflix show. With love, Meghan, we're going to be family. I'm going to show you how to love your family because I'm so family orientated. I won't speak to my daddy except to write him nasty letters, and I won't have H do anything except give his daddy hard times. So the hypocrisy of it all, and quite frankly, her demeanor is not that of somebody who actually loves the dog. I mean, if you love a pet, would you be using it as cynically as Meghan has used? Well, possibly you would if you are a cynical opportunist.
One of the most explosive and controversial internet theories surrounding Meghan Markle has suddenly returned to the spotlight. And this time Buckingham Palace itself is being dragged into the conversation. The phrase dominating viral royal commentary channels is simple but extraordinarily loaded. So many questions. Now, according to online speculation, palace reactions, or lack of reactions, are being interpreted as signs of deeper concern surrounding long-running pregnancy conspiracy theories involving Meghan Markle. Now, for years, parts of the internet have obsessed over what became known as the moonbump theory. A conspiracy narrative suggesting Meghan Markle's pregnancies contained inconsistencies that viewers believed required explanation. Clips were slowed down. Photos were enlarged. Body movement was analyzed frame by frame. And ordinary visual differences became transformed into alleged evidence. Now here's why this latest controversy has gained traction so quickly. Because once Buckingham Palace becomes attached to the story, the conspiracy suddenly feels bigger. More official, more dangerous. If the palace responded, there must be something there. But in reality, many of these videos rely on vague interpretations, indirect references, or ordinary royal silence being reframed as hidden acknowledgement. That framing is psychologically powerful because it encourages suspicion without requiring proof. Mystery becomes evidence. Silence becomes suspicious. And speculation becomes emotionally persuasive. And this is where modern internet culture becomes absolutely extraordinary. Millions of people now behave like digital detectives. Every photo gets dissected. Every movement gets analyzed. Every timeline becomes a conspiracy chart. And once audiences emotionally commit to a theory, contradictory evidence often changes nothing. Meanwhile, supporters of Meghan Markle strongly reject these narratives entirely. They argue the surrogacy theories are invasive, harmful, and rooted in online obsession culture. And they say ordinary pregnancy variations are repeatedly weaponized into global conspiracy content. And hovering over all of this is the larger media war surrounding Meghan Markle herself. For years she has remained one of the most polarizing public figures on earth. Critics interpret inconsistencies as proof of manipulation. Supporters see relentless bad faith scrutiny. But what is real is the extraordinary power of internet suspicion culture. A culture where mystery becomes content, and where royal silence gets transformed into global speculation within hours. And once a conspiracy narrative captures public imagination, every unanswered question becomes part of the story itself. Do you think online royal conspiracy culture has gone too far? Or do unanswered public questions naturally fuel speculation?